NATO's Marines have landed, this time in the Arctic Circle, where the nights are long and the cold never quits. Their mission, to push back a simulated attack on Norway and prove their ability to keep our people safe by defending every inch of Allied soil. But as these Marines are about to find out, the Arctic is unlike anywhere else in NATO, and it will push them to their limits. Harstad, Norway. In the bitter cold of the winter morning, Marines from the Finnish Navy's Nyland Brigade haul their gear onto the U.S. Navy ship Gunston Hall. This will be their home as they put their skills to the test during NATO's largest collective defense drills in decades, Steadfast Defender 24. The Gunston Hall is a big ship, but that doesn't make it easier for the Finns and their bulky rucksacks. Moving to their quarters requires a bit of multinational teamwork.
I got you.
It's way harder to navigate than I thought.
It's pretty cramped. On the first impressions, we have too much stuff.
Anchors aweigh. For this exercise, the Gunston Hall will patrol the massive fjords of Norway's Arctic coast and help the Finnish Marines launch raids on the shore. To get there, they'll hitch a ride with their Nordic neighbors. The Swedish Amphibious Corps sent 2 CB-90 combat boats to the exercise, each capable of carrying more than 20 Marines to shore. They dock in the Gunston Hall's well deck, a massive floodable compartment that allows it to carry small boats. Now, they're learning how to apply their specialized skills to the collective defense of NATO allies.
So what's distinguishes Swedish Marine is that since we operate so dispersed, we can operate by ourselves for a long period of time in pretty harsh environments.
But what makes a Marine? Amphibious troops all over NATO take pride in being able to cope with the toughness of their job.
Well, you have to be resilient, and you have to have a strong will. A will to push yourself to the extreme and a bit further.
They work in wet, often cold conditions. They have to travel light, and without the guarantee of resupply, they must think on their feet to get the job done.
They must be innovative to solve different tasks and when problems occur, because they will.
Marines are tough, sure, but in the Arctic, tough isn't enough. When the temperature drops below 20 degrees centigrade, it stops being cold and starts being dangerous. For untrained troops, it can be lethal. That's why the U.S. Marine Corps sends troops to Norway to learn winter's harsh lessons. These Marines from 1st Battalion, 2nd Marine Regiment have hacked a home out of the dense forests and deep snow near Sertemon. They sleep and wake in extreme cold. To drink, they boil snow. At this early stage, it's just enough to survive. But later, they'll need to learn how to not just survive, but fight and win in these brutal conditions.
We have a large number of Marines who have never been in the snow in their life before. So as Marines, we have a hallmark of being able to fight in any climate place. And in order to do that, it just takes practice and just grow in that proficiency through the repetition.
For Marines used to firm ground, the deep snow is a serious obstacle. Walking through it would quickly exhaust them. The only option is to glide along the surface using skis. Easier said than done, perhaps.
The falling's all part of it. Just learning the right ways to fall and then the best ways to get back up after you fall is very important. Hard part about being in the Marine Corps and skiing is you have to ski with the main pack and your weapon. So teaching the guys now the basics without all that helps just the building block approach. They're picking up very fast, and I'm really happy with what I'm seeing.
Out here, the Marines need a reliable source of food, fuel, and ammunition. Getting it to them, though, can be a struggle.
What we're seeing right here is the offloading of a resupply that comes in every couple of days. So that's the biggest challenge is just the sheer amount of logistics that's required to sustain. Everything gets doubled out here, and it's significantly more complex.
The cold exhausts not just the body, but the mind as well. Eventually, your willpower breaks down, despair creeps in, and thoughts turn from accomplishing the mission to saving yourself while you still can. The Marines call this going internal. To stop this from happening, they rely on their greatest resource, each other.
At least for us, we just kind of joke around with each other, kind of poke and prod with each other, share stories, and the spirits up, the motivation, kind of let anyone break off.
In the Marine Corps, have you ever done anything this hard?
No, not really. I personally think this is my hardest training op I've ever done. No.
While Norway sleeps, the Finnish Marines get ready to sneak ashore on Swedish combat boats. Far from the theatrics of Hollywood, modern amphibious operations often rely on speed and stealth to succeed. That's where the Swedish Marines come in. The combat boat 90, or CB-90, cuts through the Norwegian fjords like a knife. With a steel-reinforced hull that can grind against the rocky Nordic shores, and enough gun mounts to handle any threats on the beach, the CB-90 is an apex predator in its natural environment.
It's like driving a sports car. It's the best work I could imagine. It's built to be durable and can go ashore and on rocky cliffs, virtually anything.
So how was the ride?
What?
How was the ride?
It was good.
Fair enough. The Finnish Marines of the Nilan Brigade are unique. Unlike the rest of their country's defense forces, their first language isn't Finnish, but Swedish. This means they can work hand in glove with their Swedish counterparts.
Our brigade is founded by a Swedish king. A Swedish company can come to Finland, report into the battalion commander, and 3 hours from that they can do a combined mission already.
Together, the Marines must trek through the hilly terrain to scout out a helicopter landing zone. The forest is dense and the ground is steep. It's slow going, even for expert skiers like the Finnish Marines.
The thing about Finns is we all more or less grew up on skis, but yeah, I'm a bit scared to climb the biggest hills here because it's quite different from Finland. Finland is very flat, so.
With the landing zone secured, it's time to kick off a uniquely NATO operation. An Italian helicopter lifts a Finnish snowmobile off an American warship and carries it to a clearing in Norway.
This is standard for the other
Helicopters are coming.
39er, this is 30.
This snowmobile will make their lives much easier as they push further inland. Meanwhile, a Swedish fire control team decides to get a head start on NATO integration. They meet up with the Italian Marines from the San Marco Brigade, who have landed nearby and are practicing calling for artillery fire from an Italian warship.
Delta, this is unit uniform, fire mission.
Fortunately, the Swedes are already familiar with Alliance tactics and procedures.
Say for instance in a future conflict, being able to fire with the different countries, just the one that is on station in that area at that time, is making us 100 times more dangerous for a possible enemy. It's always nice to hear different countries' voices on the radio and knowing that you do basically the same thing already. So you don't need any pre-training, just get right into it.
The US Marines have come a long way, both figuratively and literally. After training in Sertemon, they've deployed to Finnmark, Norway's northernmost region, for a sort of final exam in winter warfare. Here, there are no instructors. The Marines are on their own, with miles of Norwegian wilderness before them. Fortunately, hard lessons have paid off.
The difference between us a month ago and now is night and day. People know how to take care of themselves better. They understand their daily, day-to-day routines. They understand the basics of what they need to get through day to day, which means that the battalion can focus more on being enemy-oriented rather than focusing on sustaining ourselves internally.
Being able to move in this challenging terrain is one thing. Being able to fight is quite another. The deep snow slows the Marines down. and in this mostly featureless landscape, there's little cover from hostile fire. To prevail, the Marines need to be fast and aggressive.
Being able to operate in an environment like this truly makes us capable of operating in any climate and place, which provides more options for our decision makers when they need the military to respond. As these young Marines and sailors get to work side by side with the Norwegians, with the Finns, with the Swedes, their own confidence in just how good these allies are continues to grow.
In March 2024, while its Marines were deployed to Norway, Sweden made history by formally joining NATO as the alliance's 32nd ally. It was an emotional moment for the Swedes, who in joining NATO ended more than 200 years of military non-alignment.
Being part of NATO feels good. From now it's going to be a lot easier in many ways, and I hope the interoperability with the allied partners will be easier from now.
Sweden's joining NATO absolutely makes the alliance stronger. I can tell you they are highly competent, they are very skilled, and they share our values and our kind of collective ethos that goes into our operations.
The Nordic countries are now united under the banner of collective defense. At a time when European security is threatened by a major conflict, NATO's Arctic Marines must stand ready to defend the alliance, no matter the time or place.